What's good, everybody? This your boy Ojizz on the track, and you have now made it to the second episode of Behind the Beats, featuring myself and legendary hip-hop MC, Tracey Lee. See, I don't think y'all ready for this one. You wanna know why? Because you just might get...
Happy Purge, you old...
We about to take y'all behind the beats of the Purge, one of the new records off of Tracey Lee's new project entitled Glory, produced by, you know. Get ready, go get your popcorn, go get your wine, you know what it is. It's time for the Purge. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, y'all back. Episode 2 of Behind the Beats. You already know what it is. You see that man right there at the bottom? That's my man Eddie right there. See, this man right here has been like one of our greatest supporters, man. Like, he's been rocking with us through this whole process, man. And that is exactly why we wanted him to come on and share this experience with us, man. Thank you, Eddie. What's going on, brother? What's going on, fam?
Hey, man. You know, I'm doing good, man. You know, glad to chop it up with y'all. Glad to rock with y'all. And yeah, man. The song is crazy. Obviously, the album's crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm interested. Very interested. I have some questions about this one. So yeah,
no doubt. No doubt.
So this song, The Purge, man, like just the way it starts off, it's like you already know what's coming.
Right.
And it feels like the production and Trey's rhyme schemes and all that.
Yeah.
It feels like chaos, but controlled chaos in a way, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so anyone who's watched The Purge, you know it's complete chaos.
That's all it is.
Once that clock hits and that alarm goes off, it's just straight up chaos. So, I definitely felt that. But, also with the track itself, I feel like every time I hear that track, I hear different layers in it.
With this sample, it's a very popular sample. And just for that particular reason is why I chopped it the way I did. This sample was taken by one of the most famous jazz musicians, one of my favorite jazz musicians, Mr. Bob James. It's that popular that you can actually go look it up. It should be the first thing that comes up if you ever want to research it. This sample is actually a very happy and upbeat theme. This is what it sounds like. Sounds familiar, right? I didn't want to take anything that was, that much of an instrument. I just needed a certain sound. And most of that is found in the intro. It was probably maybe 2 seconds of the sample. And that's what I kept looping. This is the actual loop. You see that? I just kept looping it over and over. I flipped the pitch to a higher pitch. It's probably about 100, just 100%. And it came out sounding like this. And there you have it. That's how I chopped the sample.
Right. So that was really my question about the different layers to that track.
Right. Well, the thing is about this track is it's extremely simple. Like, I literally counted. It's only 5 main sounds in that whole track. That's all it is. It's crazy. This particular track only has the main melody, which is the sample loop, the drum pattern, which consists of a kick, snare, hi-hats, and an 808. 5 sounds, everybody. That's all it takes. And that's what you have to remember. A lot of your favorite songs don't even have that many sounds in them. It goes to the example of less is more. And in this case, less was definitely more.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. you know, and then you got your little accent sounds with, you know, me yelling in the back, and that's about it. But other than
That's
that,
probably what it is.
that's all it is, bro.
Yeah, the
The
yells
yells.
are the illest, like, because they come so timely, and of course, you know, when I received the track as a whole, it wasn't broken up into elements. I didn't know how many elements were in it. I knew where certain elements came from, you know, just
Hmm.
being a, you know, an aficionado of not only hip hop but of music. But it was interesting how he flipped it, you know, which a lot of people have used it, but they didn't
Yes.
flip it quite like this. But then
Right.
the yells accented everything.
And also, it's important to add some accent sounds to hype it up a little bit more. So we're gonna use this hype Ojizz scream that I like to use. I made that. If you want it, you gotta grab my sound kit. So imojizz.com, link is below. There you go. Oh, there it is. Go to imojizz.com and grab my sound kit. It is 50% off, everybody. Go grab it. So yeah, and that Ojizz scream sounds like this. It'll get you hyped. Let's get it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To me, it brought out it brought out that element that you're talking about, that chaos element. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
Definitely. Okay, now I'm gonna get into the original track right now. The original track was by one of my favorite jazz musicians, of course, Bob James. I'm not gonna tell you what exact sample it is, but it's so popular you can literally just type in Bob James. It's probably the first thing that pops up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, so y'all got y'all go ahead and y'all do that. All right. But the actual track is actually a real happy, a real uplifting track. It wasn't scary, it wasn't serious, it wasn't nothing like that. It's a really uplifting track, you know?
I did. I'll take full blame for that. I'll take full blame for turning that happy that you're talking about into the chaos that you're
Right.
talking about, Eddie.
I was killing myself like, yo, what in the world? How am I gonna flip this? Because that's what I do. I'll usually get a sample that people have done a million times before, and I'll figure out, okay, what can I do that they didn't do and do it differently and do it better. So that's kind of like the challenge that I give to myself. And I did it with this one because I've heard a ton of different producers do the same track. So I realized that in the beginning, it was just straight sounds. I was like, what is that? And it sounded kind of spooky, like you were, you know, like it reminds me of like the Headless Horseman or something, just something really crazy and whimsical coming right at you. And I was like, okay. I literally sampled 1 second of that whole song. 1 second. And kept looping it and looping it and looping it. So
That's
you
crazy.
gotta think, like, if I'm doing that, then you would think that you would get bored throughout the whole track, but that's the whole point. Between Trey's lyrics and the accent stuff that's going on in the background to make it sound like it's pure chaos, that's what makes it so special, because we literally took nothing and turned it into something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like one of those things where simplicity is definitely the keys. You know, just keeping it simple, but it hits so hard, you know? It hits extremely hard, you know?
So
yeah,
Eddie, let's go with your first initial listen, and then go into, after a couple listens, like what was your initial reaction, and then what was your reaction after the initial reaction once you really took a deep dive into it?
The first thing that stood out to me, I think everyone that hears the track is, you know, going into the hook where till 45 he can get it too, you know, like, oh damn, you know, so there's that element, you know, talking about, you know, all these whack rappers, you can line them up.
Yeah.
You know, that was definitely, you know, the first standout, but then, you know, kind of, you know, being more descriptive and really vivid, you know, really vivid with your lyrics, you know, which, you know, I could appreciate because obviously the Purge, you know, is the movie. So you got the chaos element, but you also got the vividness that kind of brings it into a cinematic place.
Got you.
Now, when you heard the instrumental, you know, after it was done, like exactly what in the world made you go this route?
That was actually the first track that I had ever heard from this album.
Yeah,
you know
folks.
What I'm saying? I actually sat on this track for about a year, but I it's like I knew I wanted to use it, but I kind of kept it in the back pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So after we started, you know, kind of putting the album together and figuring out the direction that we wanted to go in, and bringing, again, like me and Jizz do, we bridge the old with the new. I felt like that was the perfect, like those the elements that are in this particular track are the perfect elements of blending the old with the new. When you start talking about what he used with regards to the sample and what kind of drums are laid on it, because those drums are right now. Those drums, the way them things bounce and hop, you know what I'm saying? And all of that, like that's 2020.
Let's get into the drums. The drum pattern is very simple, very hard-hitting, very boom-bap-ish. If that's even a word. You dig? So, let's get into it. Real simple, but when you put that in the back with those sounds, it has a certain rhythm. It gets you there. You feel me? And so let's see how that sounds with the sample. Then I add some hi-hats. These are live. This is a live hi-hat loop that I have. A live hi-hat loop. Here we go. I know y'all hear that 808 thumping. Woo!
But that sample, you know, it's been used a million times. But it was the way that he did it. So it was kind of like, if you recognize what it is, you know, oh yeah. But then the way he got it rocking, and then along with the drums, I felt like, okay, now I need to take this, what I've been sitting on for about a year, I'm gonna take it out of my pocket and put it right where we put it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, then it was just basically coming up with, okay, so what we gonna talk about on this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I knew when I hear it, I know it'll rock a club crazy, but I didn't want to make it a club joint.
And with The Purge, what does everybody remember from that movie in The Purge? You guessed it. That horn, that sound off horn to let you know you about to get murked. So what I did was I added that as a transition, and that's what this sounds like. That horn is crazy. Let you know, yeah, somebody about to get murked and fast.
You know what I mean? Like we because of what we are talking about on this particular album, it's like we gotta make it something. Like you can still rock it, because I still see DJs that have the record, you know, messing with it because they love it. Like it's just this is the transitional record.
Yep.
That's what makes this record so special. This is the transitional record to everything else that follows.
You got everything in those 3 tracks.
Sum up what glory it is. Reality, You got
emotion.
You got, you know, everything. Everything is in there.
Everything, y'all.
Everything's in the
everything. This would be a good time to make a little commercial. If you have not grabbed your copy of Glory, make sure you head over to TraceyLeeMusic.com or go to Patreon. If you want the full Glory experience, patreon.com/Tracey Lee Music. Simple as that. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program.
I'm wondering, because of how those 3 tracks tie in, I know you wrote them in order, But did you think of them in that way, or did it just kind of end up that way when you were writing it? Like, did you think of it as one story, like a trilogy, when you were writing it?
Great question.
Great question. I think, okay, so to be totally transparent, those first three, when you start talking about Dominion, Glory, and the Old Me, I had thought about doing those prior to the pandemic. Before I wrote it, I still had the thought process going. So thought about those before March 13th. But then as I'm writing those, I'm in the middle of a pandemic. So I felt like I got to make a shift somewhere. So once I got those first, those three initial thoughts out of my brain, it was like, boom. And I told Ojizz, we didn't actually use it, but what I wanted to do was, you know, have something that says, oh, we interrupt this program because my initial thought process has been interrupted by what we are in. So this is the interruption.
This is the PSA.
The purge is the interruption. You know what I'm saying? So from there, it was like, but I couldn't finish my thought in just in this song. You know what I'm saying? As based on what we're going through. So it's like, okay, cool. Once I'm done this is what I'm feeling right now. But then there's an end result to this. You know what I mean? The end result is we're losing lives. You know what I'm saying? We can't identify the bodies. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of dreams that have been deferred. And now we start talking about Thanos and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people, you know, losing faith, losing hope, and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So then you go through that. Then you go through the whole sorrow aspect of DIAZ. This is where we at, and this is what we left with. You know what I mean? That's when the whole Purge, Thanos, DIAZ is, it dawns on you.
Mm-hmm.
DIAZ is the point where it dawns on you. You know what I'm saying? Thanos is kind of sifting through it. The Purge is the beginning of it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what those three songs do before we start seeing the light. And we already know what the rest of that is with the rest of the album. But really, those three songs are the complete thought of what is going on at that particular time. And I had to get them all out, and I couldn't get it all out in just one song. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that was.
Oh yeah, and the Purge is just such an analogy for what's going on, you know, between, you know, COVID, between, you know, what the police are doing to, you know, Black people in America. There's, you know, there's probably a section of America that doesn't feel that way. You know what I mean? They're trapped in their bubble, so to speak. You know, you know, they don't believe that COVID is a thing. They're not wearing their masks. They're not affected by what's going on with the police and the Black community, you know. But, you know, for us, you know, it's 100% real. Yeah.
It's real. But then also what the Purge is lyrically, it's an analogy. I mean, a simile and metaphor, an analogy for also what's going on in the game, in the business. Talking about the music industry. When you start talking about all these whack rappers, you can line them up. And really that whole second verse is kind of directed to the music industry with some, you know, socio-political remnants. When you start talking about, you know, when I say no new rivals, so that's an MC, that's the MC part of it, just a new rifle for you whose new Bible is the news cycle. So now we're going back to the socio-political aspect of it. So it's like I'm kind of feeding both situations off of each other. You know what I mean? When you start talking about the gram, you know what I mean? Million followers you got on the gram, and then I switched it to TikTok. You know, he times up, lock and load. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So we kind of mix
the whole social media scheme.
Exactly. So we kind of mixing and matching socio-political commentary with the aspects of the business. You know what I'm saying?
I think what makes this track so special also is your delivery. Like, I don't think people understand, like, delivery on a track, it makes a total difference if the track is going to be something that you feel or something that you just about to skip. If somebody doesn't deliver on a track, you know, that's pretty much like the number one thing people listen for, you know, because yeah, you may be saying the most influential thing, but if you're not delivering it in the right way, then it can get lost.
So you heard the passion, Jizz. You heard the passion.
Yeah.
You heard the grunt. You heard
when I would listen to them I would listen to your lyrics. Like, yo, you was really in your bag, bro.
Thank you, brother.
You was in your bag. And when I did add the effects on it, what I wanted to do, I wanted this joint to sound like you're angry, frustrated. Like, I wanted those vocals to be right up front, smack you right in your face for real. Just as long, right along with how that track, how the beat is.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, mission accomplished for sure.
Face, to the point where you about to take your headphones off, like, yo, good God, like, yo, what is going on, yo? Like, who is he triggered that, yo? Like, that's where we was headed.
That was definitely the most aggressive.
No,
it sounded like, to me, it was the most aggressive out of all the records.
Let's get into my brother's vocals. What I wanted to do with him, I wanted to make his vocals stand out. So this is what I did. I cut his sub and his bass frequencies for his voice, so that, because we have a heavy 808, so I like to cut the low end frequencies on the vocals. I'm gonna tell you, everybody, my favorite 2 plugins for hip hop rap vocals, CLA 2A and the CLA vocals. Look, Chris Lord, you are a genius. Nothing else to say about that. What I do is I pick the rock female preset and I tweak it just a little bit. Got rid of the lowers. I got rid of the low end. Boosted his treble to about 6. I'm at 7.6. And this also acts as a compressor. So I wanted to make sure that it works together with the CLA 2A and goes along really nicely. It gives a nice mix on his voice so that his voice stands out. See, Tracey has a very strong voice, if you want to say that. He has a strong voice. So you need something to be able to hold that, attack it, and keep it stable within the mix. So it's good to have a couple of compressors that work well together. And I feel that the CLA 2A works good with the CLA vocals. Reverb and delay. And just to widen it up a little bit, I used the FL Studio stock plugin, which is the FL Stereo Shaper, just to widen those channels a lot. And you got to be careful with the Stereo Shaper. The reason why I say you got to be careful with Stereo Shaper is because if you put the delay too much to the right or the left, your phase is going to be out of sync. So it's going to get a weird sound, and it's not going to sound good on different speakers. So you want to make sure anything that you do as far as stereo is concerned, you want to make sure that you're not out of phase. And that's what we have for his vocals, and I'll solo it out.
The culture's being torn apart, bringing the artillery, targeting the oligarch. People, this is anarchy, full course of a la carte. They're feeding the majority, got sheep moving in fear, believing in the sorcery.
This joint with the Purge, I mean, like, even with your Adlibs, I took a new school approach with mixing your Adlibs, more so of the Travis Scott approach, where the Adlibs are, they're in the background, but they're echoed out. And it's just like, it's almost just like somebody's on a bullhorn, but they way in the back somewhere.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. So that's why it sounds like, yo, this is a message. This isn't a song. This is a message. And one thing that I love about what I do with his ad-libs, for his ad-lib chain, I pretty much have the same thing, but this time I use the CLA effects. And for the CLA effects, I use tape phase, I use the top and the drive. And the drive gives it a good, distorted sound. And with the stereo shaper, what I do is I pan the delay, only the delay to the right. So that way it not only gives it a wide appeal, but it gives it more so of a background approach. And that's exactly what I wanted. So this is how his background ad-libs actually sound.
Shine a light on them. Time to ride on them. And let it fly on them. Vengeance for the sufferance. Fender will be up against. Riddance of a governance. Rendered by the 1%. Yeah, y'all better scramble for cover with a covenant. We gather in Geppetto when the puppets for the bludgeoning.
There we go. you know, and that's why it's so dynamic. Your vocals on this project period is dynamic, bro.
Yo, Eddie, I'm learning. See, this is the beauty of doing these things, right? Because I'm learning some stuff as he's talking. Because I noticed it, you know, in the end product. But now that he explains why he had certain effects on the voice and the whole bullhorn thing, I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense now. Okay, right. I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I've heard people say like how they were amazed that the whole project was produced by Ojizz because it's just such a variety of styles of the tracks and all that. But for you as an MC to come on, you're in pocket on everything, but then your delivery is on point and appropriate.
It is.
You know, so it's impressive.
Thank you, man. And honestly, Eddie, that's one of the things I take I'm most prideful of. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that you cannot, I don't care what kind of sound, what kind of, you know, music it is, what kind of feeling it is, you cannot box me into one thing.
That's why you are such an anomaly when it comes to the rap game, because nobody can really pinpoint exactly what type of style you have. And it's like, how can we put a leash on Trey when he'll come at us from this angle, that angle, then he'll get on some smooth stuff. Then it's like, it's so many faces.
Right.
Was I lying? I still, at least I know I keep it
faces.
Consistent over the last 20-something years. I keep it consistent. I told you in the beginning, this is what it is, like you said, Eddie, and this is what it's going to be. But I will say this, the Purge, for me, out of all the records, was the most challenging. And the reason why is because of the way the beat bounced. And I did not want to keep the same flow on it. I didn't just want to stick with the one pocket. Like, I found a couple of them joints that I felt like I could exploit and really, you know, bring and highlight the track even more. You know what I'm saying? I'm
glad you mentioned that, Trey, because, and I'm going to tell this to all the producers that's watching this, like, whenever you get vocals back to be mixed and it's to your track or any other track, it could be a YouTube beat, whatever it is, it's so important to make sure that you're actually listening to the artist and how they say certain things and the way they say certain things, because you have to drop the beat on certain parts. If you do not drop the beat on certain parts, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose people, and you're going to lose the how dynamic the actual artist is trying to be on that track. Drops are crucial when it comes to any music production.
I started running around the house. See, I'm giving y'all a tidbit of writing process.
I already know how you write. I know how you write.
When I come up with lines like that, it's like I just, if nobody's around, I just start running around the house. Like,
he just take off, man. He start, woo, and then you know he get to stomping his foot.
Yeah, woo.
Well, it's a rack. Man. Look, man, we up out of time right now, but
damn,
I mean, look. Went by real fast, man, because you know my man Ed, he came with the bomb questions. You feel me? Like he came in ready. He was ready. You feel me? You know, like, hey man, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, bro.
It was an honor. Like I said, man, it's an honor, man. You guys, you know, I keep saying it. Glory's my album of the year. You know, there's no other album that has come out, at least for me in 2020. That has had that type of replay value.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So, you know what? It's been a pleasure. And on that note, man, look, this has been episode 2 of Behind the Beatz, featuring myself and hip-hop super legend Tracey Lee. My man Eddie down there. You already know what it is, man. So we will see y'all next week with something special. You dig? Easy.